I kind of was worried right here when Bitcoin was getting inundated by the yoke. So if you see the yokes, that's what's coming down, and it kind of like broken ideas, things like that. So I was a little worried, and it seemed that Ethereum was going to be really the next big leader. So you see the crowns, that's the crown jewels. So I was looking for Ethereum, which I did buy. I ended up selling my Bitcoin, buying the Ethereum, and then pulling out all of it right before the big crash. So I saw it coming from this big cloud, but I wasn't sure if the cloud was something like bad. And then this is actually where if you read the messages, they're from the war as well. And actually, this is when the real it felt like this is when the world started going crazy. All the kids got shot. This actually the birds. That's right. The birds in here represent one of each of the victims at the elementary school shooting. So I wasn't sure what this was. I saw the piece, but I was wondering why there was like these holes in it and it was like dripping. And unfortunately, that's what that was saying. So we've got this second wave after the big, huge wave from Chapter 2. If you haven't seen that one, definitely check that out. I've got a one that that shows all of these together. But so I saw this, and I see the birds, I see the black beetles, not good. And this is old Sam Bankman Fried. I call it deep fried. And I was wondering what this was while I was drawing it that month, and sure enough, it was him. So that was him, and kind of happened this burning of not only when what's happening right now is the heat wave and the melting and all that, but it was also the blockchain didn't look like it was coming at well, it was coming out of the crypto winter. But then what I was seeing is the yolk getting spilled, which is not good if it's inundating it. But then I see some stacking right here. And I'm not sure. It does eventually go down, but this is chapter 4, so we're going to go down and we're also going to go up. However, now if you do see that big skull, that's worrisome for me, because chapter 4 is where we're supposed to be going up. And it looks like more is going down, but that's the big wave crashing. So hopefully this is a what do you call it? A metaphor for us dying as we are now to be uplifted. Hopefully that's what that skull is meaning, because that's a huge skull and it's on the upside. So maybe downside is where we want to be. I don't know. I thought, this is going to be the top of the cube itself. So we'll see about that. But there's a pop here with crypto. Now this block area, I thought this was going to be a build, and it ended up being more about the blockade of our government putting regulations and now putting them marking them as securities. So the whole thing right now, that obviously devastated one more time, but now we're in this dip right here, and we got a fire burning, and I see some ideas popping out that aren't melting, even though it's melting down here. So that's not a good sign. That might just be the melt from up here. So it's looking like there might be some new rebuild in the blockchain. And, it doesn't mean it's going to be permanent. In fact, if you see, it's kind of it's dripping down like it is melting. But inside the yellow, which is inside the egg that represents the new ideas, it's almost like it's glowing and growing. He's picking it up. So and it's being passed into the blue, which is more the, digital economy, metaverse area. Pink, everywhere you see pink, you see this is the eye. This is the global brain that is wrapping around everything. So It looks like good news for dare I say even Bitcoin. The only reason I say Bitcoin is because it's the only one that's definitely not a security. It is an asset. So if the government's got anything to do with it, they're gonna kind of screw. Well, they already are. That was what actually this one was about, and it did. It just kind of stopped it in its tracks. I'm like, oh man, I thought we were doing good, but sure enough, you got it right here. It's the teeth falling out, and this is a funny one. This is about good old fascism, called Tailored Demise, which ended up being one of my favorites. I didn't know how it would end up, so really cool. But for this part, it looks like we got some clearing, some of the melting gone. Even if this is a bad thing with the big blob of yolk coming, I don't think that's the case. And we've got a block before it, so there is going to be some type of build and perhaps a crash. But that's the nature of the crypto beast. So I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just saying this is something to look at, and I put some reasoning to it because inflation is not going away just because it's rising faster. We're actually at over 7%, and everybody's saying we need to get to 5. We're at 5, and we're not. You can move those things around. So the energy costs, the inflation in food and shelter and all that is skyrocketed, but the energy cost has gone down. It's actually negative like 10%. It's crazy. But that's because the government subsidizes it. So they just add that in there. So if you add a negative 10% when everything else is high, and there's a few, mostly in the energy industry, energy sector, you're going to see it. It's obviously going to push it down. It's going to make it more negative because that's called a mean. It brings down, instead of everything being high, it's very low, and then you get the average. So anyway, they can manipulate it however they want to make it look like it's good, but it's really not. So that's coming into everybody's minds. People are talking about it, hopefully, and people might put in an asset because our currency is losing value. That's what inflation is as well. So people might be putting more in Bitcoin, and as much as I've been, okay, I'm good, I'm out because of the environmental costs and all that, and they're not going to proof of stake, it's a different beast, and I get it. And the energy of it is what I was interested years ago when I got into it. So I'm a little bullish on Bitcoin because it's an if, right? And it's a stable enough asset to think about putting it into, because if the value of the dollar is going down, and even if it stayed the same, if Bitcoin just kind of hovered there, you're still making better off, and you still can own that outside of the government. And not saying the government can't take this stuff away. It's just it's not as easy, and you can make it as hard as you want. You can put it in your own little wallet and keep it on you. So there's a lot of upside to it, and not just you got to think outside of America. There are people who they have no banking system. They've got to be able to do transactions on a quick and easy, or they don't grow, and that's where their problem has been. So this is huge. It could be really big for worldwide. Not just don't just think local, especially for America. You were like, that's people don't need that. People are just trying to make money off of it. It could be a stable underground on the layer 1, and then you've got layer 2 that actually goes into the layer and allows transactions that are fast and easy, and you can still own that layer 1 or 2 right there. And then you've got the layer 3, which is like a Coinbase, who they're a custodian. You don't have to have a custodian. You can have it all yourself. I prefer a custodian right now. Things aren't crazy, but I can decide to later. So that's just someone who they hold your money. They make it even easier to transact. Throw it, connect it to the bank, buy, sell, do whatever you want with it, use it, send it, and then it's a business. otherwise, yeah, you can own your own and go with that, which I might do eventually. So, but right now I I trust Coinbase. So that's it. That's what I'm looking at right now. Good luck to everybody, and keep pressing on.